Hello. Hey, give it up for Brett Blake, everybody. Let him hear it. Very good. How are you all? You well? Yeah, me too. I had a really awkward interaction last week. I want to tell you about it. I had an embarrassing moment with a stranger. I was in Sydney last week just for one day, and I had a bit of time to kill, and so I was just wandering around Sydney on my own, just doing a bit of Sydney shit. Whatever you just imagined just then, that's what I was doing. And because I was on my own, I was talking to myself a bit, right? Nothing bad, nothing weird, just all good, you know, just normal, just, the bridge is pretty big, you know, just shit like that, whatever. Just commenting on things to myself. As the day progressed, I got more chatty with myself, more enthusiastic, probably raised the volume a bit. I'm heading back to my accommodation. I got a chicken wrap on my way back. I was very excited. And now I'm walking with a bit more gusto because I'm keen to get back and eat that chicken wrap. I come around the corner and I nearly crashed into someone. You know when you come around the corner of the footpath and you both pull up, you're like, whoop, like that? Whenever you do that, just after that, there's a moment where you just stare into each other's eyes. You're right in each other's space. But just before that, just as I'd rounded that bend, my brain had decided to say something to myself. I didn't want to say it anymore, but it was too late. I couldn't catch it. The message had already been sent to my vocal cord. So I've just stared this woman directly in the eyes and pretty much yelled, "Fuck yeah, chicken wrap." That happened last week. Somewhere in Sydney right now, she's telling her version of that story. And I don't reckon I come off that well in that version. But I'm always doing shit like that. I'm always having embarrassing moments. I had a shocker recently. I think this is one of the most embarrassing things you can do as an adult. I called someone mum who wasn't my mum. It was so bad. It was worse as well because I did it at work. Not this job, I should specify. I've got a day job. That'd be weird if I was like, "Mum, hello." Nah, during the day I work at a school as a teacher's aide. I'm a teacher's aide at a school and I love that job. I work at a school, it's like, yeah, fuck yeah, thank you. All right, cool, that's nice. A few members of the Australian Education Union in tonight. Rock on. The school I work at's primary and secondary. I work with kids of all different ages and it's good in tandem with this job. They work well as a pair because kids say heaps of funny shit. It does feel a bit unethical sometimes. When you're sitting in class, they divulge something to you and your first thought is, "That's getting repeated tonight." Sorry, mate. They say too many funny things. Primary school age kids, best thing about them is their lack of filter. They haven't learnt social etiquette yet, so they just speak. If you get offended, bad luck. Pure honesty, it's the best. I was talking to a girl at the school recently. She's 8 years old. She was trying to ask me how old I am. I could tell that was what she wanted to ask, but she couldn't figure out how to phrase the sentence. She was getting all jumbled. She was like, "How many ages are the years of your birth? At what month is the number of your years?" And then eventually she just went, "When are you gonna die?" Pure honesty. That's what we're all really asking when we ask that. But lately, I've been working more with the high school students. I've been in the high school, completely different job. I'm a teacher's aide, so I help out in the classroom. In the primary school, there's a million things to do. You're jumping around constantly. High school, obviously, is a very different job as a teacher's aide. On my first day, I was a bit confused as to what my job kind of was. I went in, I look at my roster, I'm supporting a kid in Year 10 science. So I go in, I meet him. He's in a wheelchair, but intellectually he's very capable. We sit down. The teacher, she's over there. She starts giving the science lesson. Pretty quickly realise he's better at Year 10 science than me. Now I'm just kind of like, what's my job at this point? What am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Like, she's there, she's giving the lesson. I'm here. She's giving the lesson. I'm just doing Year 10 science, aren't I? And loving it, if I'm honest. I was like, this was too hard for me when I was in Year 10, but this is about my level now. Can I answer some of these? He said that's igneous. I reckon it's sedimentary, that one. It does feel like that often. I was in a maths class the other day, Year 8 maths. The kid that I'm working with is like, "What's the angle of that triangle? How do we figure that out?" I just had to go, "I reckon we ask the teacher." Teacher comes over and squats down and explains it, but doing it to me. That's my colleague, do you know what I mean? We're meant to be equals. I have to be in the staff room with him 20 minutes later, acting like we're on the same wavelength. What are you up to this weekend? Hey, thanks for that Pythagoras shit, by the way. Legend. I went on a camp last year with a Year 10 class, and before the camp started, the teachers, they sent an email to the parents of all the kids with a list of all the things the kids needed to bring with them on camp, but they didn't send me the list. I guess it's assumed like I'm an adult, maybe I don't need the list, but I could have used that list. I forgot a lot of important shit. I didn't bring any cutlery to eat my dinner with. I didn't have a fork, and I was too embarrassed to ask one of the teachers if I could borrow their fork. So I asked a kid. Kind of weird. I just picked a kid that I thought had a mature vibe. I was like, hey, can I borrow your fork? And he was so cool about it. He's like, yeah, no worries. I'll eat first. I'll wash it and I'll give it to you. If I can't see, I'll leave it on that table for you. Then you can eat, just wash it and give it back to me or leave it on the table. And for the next 4 nights, I just used a 15-year-old's fork. Do you know how pathetic that is? They're all eating dinner. I'm watching to see when he's done. Make my way over. Hey, bro, can I get a look at that fork again? On the 4th night, as he was handing the fork to me, as he gave it to me, he's like, you're not going to make this mistake again, are you? Who's the grown-up in this scenario? And then on the last day of the camp, I woke up, there was a tap at my tent in the morning, and it was that kid, and he's so polite. He's like, is this an okay time, Lewis? Is this an okay time? And I was blowing away the vape smoke in my tent, like, yeah, it's all good. I opened the tent, and I stuck my head out. I said, what's going on? He said, I can't find the fork. Do you know where it is? I checked, it wasn't on the table. I swear I left it on the table. I couldn't see it. It wasn't on the other table, wasn't around the... I've lost this kid's fork. I apologised to him. He was fine about it. But that night, it's like the final dinner of the camp. It's the last night. We're all having dinner in a big circle around the fire. And he yells out to his friend. He goes, hey, can I borrow your fork? But this camp, it's all about like responsibility and shit, you know? It's all about teaching the kids, be responsible, like don't lose things, all that sort of stuff. So the teacher, she hears him say that and she's like, what? Where's your fork? Why don't you have a fork? And he points at me from across the fire and he goes, I let him borrow it and he lost it. She turns to see who he's pointing at. I can tell by the swivel of her head, she thinks she's gonna land on a kid. Do you know what I mean? She's ready to tell off a student. She lands on me, she's like, oh, that's awkward, how do I tell him off? And everyone goes quiet. All the kids, they all just stop talking, they stop eating immediately, they're all just sitting there watching, like, what's gonna happen here? And I felt so embarrassed. I had no control over this. I felt like my inner child just emerged out of nowhere. I looked at this woman, she's about 30 years older than me, and 3 words came out of my mouth. I didn't want to say this, I just looked at her and said, fuck, sorry, mum. Thanks so much for having me, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night.